Hello, here's a short video detailing a good back warm-up, stretch and warm-up that I do before squatting and deadlifting. And I'm doing it today because I'm going to deadlift today, and with my back trouble I really have to warm it up as well as possible beforehand. Should be nice and quick. And after this, I'll finally do a little bit of deadlifting and see what I can get onto my PR sheet. Always begin with this one. Everything here is something that you'll see physiotherapists recommend. It'll be on many different websites, and it's all very easy. I try to make it quite complete. Brace yourself with your shoulders and you put your knees to one side. And I think I've personally been to at least 3 physiotherapists who suggest that you do this. Physiotherapists don't necessarily always have the best advice. You don't have to necessarily be very highly qualified to call yourself a physiotherapist. I know one locally who's very helpful, and she's done me a lot of good. And then when referred to a third-party company by the NHS, I have seen one who was no good at all, and he didn't want to acknowledge I had any kind of injury. I had to push quite hard to get any investigation at all. Here's a second movement, just bridging. And this should, to some degree, open up a bit of space between your vertebrae. Not as much so as this one. Various kinds of yoga positions, very similar to this. This is one of the exercises I was told to do regularly, particularly when I had an injury. On the right hand side, this was something to do with compression and wear on soft tissue. This one on the left hand side, that's far more persistent, is a nerve or something else was put out of position, I believe, and 4 years later it's still quite sore. This is something you should do very often. It just gives a chance for the tissue to realign itself, get into position, as well as warming it up. Now, as with the 15-step whole body warm-up that I did a video for, I don't know the names of most of these things, don't care very much. Here you have a very straight back, far straighter than you would if you're doing a plank or something for a long time, and you can even push your legs all the way down. And this is going to make some compression in the area where I've got the injuries. Then you come back the other way, go all the way down, and that's going to free the space up. There's some exercises you'll do using a table, a little bit like a back extension, that mimics this effect on the body. But I found when I was doing that, and I was also lifting the legs up far behind me like that, it actually did some harm, I think, to the sciatic nerve, and it seemed to give me headaches after a while. I'm sure it's a good exercise for a lot of people, but not for me. So I just do this a few times, and it's quite similar. Here, the knees are folded toward you the way they would be under a table or hyperextension machine. And this is very similar to the other position it would put you into. But here, it's just moving the tissue, hoping you get some fluid in everywhere. And they're the most important ones. I used to squat or deadlift without doing these at all, and I think doing them has helped, and being very nearly 50 years old, it's necessary. Good twist for the spine, and you want to really push. You don't want to do this, I don't think. I think it's better to push to the extreme and then try to push just a little bit further. always quite controlled. When you want to protect an area, such as your lower back, then it's a really good idea to make sure everything's controlled and you're pushing the tissue around slowly. Up on the toes, just a bit of a plank. And the last thing I do is really a stretch for the legs. Ah, no, there's one more. I usually do it against the cupboard indoors, but this should be about the same. You don't put a lot of weight back, but you need something to lean on. I am sure doing these exercises has really helped my back recover. I still have the problem, and it would be fair to say, well, if it's that good, why do you still have back trouble? And that's because I still deadlift and I still squat. I don't think the squatting gives me much trouble, certainly not with the persistent left hand injury, but the one on the right I think might be aggravated by squatting, although I'm not certain. That's it, simple, just a few minutes. I do this after my normal 15-step warm-up, and if I'm finally getting the hang of Twitter, you should see a link to that here. If not, it'll be in the text down below. All right, thanks for watching this very short one. In a minute, I'll be back with a video where I'll try a bit of deadlifting, and hopefully it won't be too bad. Cheers.